And then you have George Soros starting his hedge fund and being funded by SC Banking. So that's why I'm saying, yes, George Soros is in the limelight. Everyone thinks he is the guy in charge, but I would maybe dig a little deeper. Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So yesterday I saw some tweets, some stories that came out saying that George Soros had passed away, and then it was denied, of course, by him, apparently. But I want to talk about whether George Soros is really significant or important. And you might say, what are you talking about? Well, we're going to go back and look at one of my videos from about 7 years ago. And it was entitled The Chaos Profiteers, the Wallenbergs, and George Soros. And who are the Wallenbergs? Well, we're going to find out. But before I get into the topic, I just wanted to let you know, one of my affiliates, Miles Franklin, has a very good deal on silver Krugerrands, 2023 Krugerrands. It's only $3.99 over spot. So if you are in North America and you're interested in stacking some silver on the dip of the paper price, call or contact Miles Franklin and tell him Maneco 64 or Mario sent you. So first I'm going to talk about my experience, my days working in the city of London in the financial sector. So you might ask, what's that got to do with Soros and the Wallenbergs? Well, just hold on a second and you find out. As a lot of you know, I was a futures and options broker for mostly, well, 99.9% institutional clients. What do institutional clients mean? Well, they're not private clients. They're like corporations, banks, fund managers, hedge funds. And the market I covered the most were government bonds and interest rate futures. But I did other futures like index futures and commodities sometimes, commodity futures. And I started out at a small English futures and options brokerage. Well, actually not small. At the time, it was the biggest in the UK. The banks hadn't taken over the futures market yet, or the exchanges. The exchanges were all private. You could still buy a seat on them. But then I moved on from GNI, that's what it was called, to City Futures, which was the futures brokerage arm of Citibank in London. And after a couple of years, they sold that business to ABN AMRO Bank, and all our clients, most of our clients went over, and we went over as well. And I had a colleague who used to deal for the Quantum Fund. And who's the Quantum Fund? Well, that's the original hedge fund that George Soros founded. I think it was in the 60s or early 70s, the Quantum Fund. Now it's called Soros Asset Management. And how it works in the futures market is that a lot of the big hedge funds, they use the different brokers. They will clear with one broker or a bank, but they will call all different brokers and give orders to different brokers because they don't want just one bank or broker to know that what they're doing. So they'll split the business because they can deal in big size. And what happens is that they'll have an account where they clear and they keep their money with one bank, let's say JP Morgan. A lot of these big institutions had accounts with JP Morgan, at least when I was around. But they'll call ABN AMRO Futures and say, sell 100 bunds or buy 1,000 DAX and put it into this account and give it up to JP Morgan. But one thing I always found weird, and this was in the late 90s, early 2000s, so I hadn't gone into deeply into how the world is run, was that colleague of mine who sat right next to me and we used to work together. He used to get calls from Soros Asset Management to do trades through us. Sometimes I used to speak to them as well. If my colleague was busy, I had to pick it up. And all their trades were given up to SE Banken. And who is SE Banken? Well, it's probably the biggest bank in Sweden. And I always thought that was weird. Why would the quantum fund clear and keep its account with SE Banken? And well, now I know why, of course, and I've known for many years. And that's why you need to watch my first video from 2016. It's called The Chaos Profiteers, the Wallenbergs and George Soros. And what does do the Wallenbergs have to do with George Soros? Well, they control SE Banken, the Wallenbergs. If you look here at this company called Investor AB, that's a Swedish investment conglomerate holding company. It's probably the most powerful company in Sweden. And these are just the companies that they hold controlling interest in, as you can see here. ABB, AstraZeneca, Atlas Copco, Electrolux, Ericsson, Nasdaq, Saab, SE Banken, a financial services group focusing mainly on the Nordic countries, Germany and the Baltics. So they're huge. Basically, they run, I would say, the Swedish economy. And you can see that they're controlled by the Wallenberg family. Jacob Wallenberg, he's the chairman. And then you have Marcus Wallenberg, vice chair. And you've got someone else as the CEO. And I remember years ago, Luke Radowski approaching Jacob Wallenberg at a Bilderberg meeting. I forgot where it was, and I couldn't find it online. And what's George Soros got to do with, well, the Wallenbergs? Well, he got funding from SE Banken in the beginning. I think it was one of the banks that funded the quantum fund. And you kind of wonder, don't you, whether George Soros is really just a front. And I spoke the other day about the bal masqué and a mass ball. And that's the strategy, and that's how the elites want to stay. They want to stay behind the scenes, masks that no one knows them. But George Soros, he's not. He's in the public limelight. He takes a lot of a lot of publicity, and he's known as Dr. Evil. And I would say, though, that the Wallenbergs are actually in control of George Soros. And it's interesting that George Soros, there's a story, and it's all in my video in the description. I put all the links. There's a story about how George Soros, as a teenager in Budapest, Hungary, helped round up Jews to send to concentration camps. He also helped confiscate their assets and their jewelry, their gold, or all their property. And then you have Raoul Wallenberg of the Wallenberg family, who was a hero who tried to supposedly save a lot of Jews in Budapest, Hungary as well. And it's all very coincidental. And I have this article here, and this is from, when was it? But Well, actually, May 24th, 1996. And it's from the, let's see, Jewish Telegraphic Agency, established in 1917. And it says, U.S. documents indicate family of Raoul Wallenbergs aided Nazis. So, while Swedish diplomat Raoul Wallenberg was saving the lives of Jews in Hungary during World War II, some of his relatives were collaborating with the Nazis, according to the World Jewish Congress. And I quote here, while Raoul was a saint, he was performing superhero feats to save the Jews in Budapest. The U.S. government knew that the Wallenberg bank, controlled by his uncles, were cooperating wholly with the Nazis, said Elon Steinberg, World Jewish Council Executive Director. The World Jewish Council reported this week that it discovered the activities of the Wallenberg-owned bank while searching recently declassified U.S. intelligence files for information concerning the whereabouts of assets of Holocaust victims that are believed to be in Swiss bank accounts. The Wallenberg documents shed light on Sweden's involvement with and collaboration with Nazis during the war, Steinberg said. Sweden is clearly emerging as one of the places where the Nazis moved assets. According to the documents, the Enskilda Bank, well, that's SE Banken, Svenska Enskilda Bank, SE Banken, owned by Jacob and Marcus Wallenberg, Raoul's uncles, dealt in large black market operations, money laundering, and concealing German investments in the United States. The documents also contain evidence disproving the belief in some circles that Marcus Wallenberg was on the side of the Allies. He traveled to the United States in 1940 on behalf of German interests to buy back a block of German securities held by America, according to the documents. I'm going to put a link to this article in the description. You can finish reading it. But there's also from the Soviets, which makes it quite interesting about Raoul Wallenberg. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, if you go onto Wikipedia under Raoul Wallenberg, it says, in 2003, a review of Soviet wartime correspondence indicated that Vilmos Baum, a Hungarian politician who was also a Soviet intelligence agent, may have provided Wallenberg's name to Smersh as a person to detain for possible involvement in espionage. So was he spying for the Nazis? And the story that he saved Jews, was that a cover? Who knows? I'm not going to speculate on that. What I'm trying to tell you here is that George Soros helped the Nazis in the last days, I think, of the war to confiscate property of Jews, and he's a Jew.
But survival carried a heavy price tag. While hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were being shipped off to the death camps, George Soros accompanied his phony godfather on his appointed rounds, confiscating property from the Jews. These are pictures from 1944 of what happened to George Soros's friends and neighbors.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes, yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
And then we hear also that the Wallenbergs helped the Nazis with their war effort. And then you have George Soros starting his hedge fund and being funded by SC Banking. So that's why I'm saying, yes, George Soros is in the limelight. Everyone thinks he is the guy in charge, but I would maybe dig a little deeper. And with that, I'm going to recommend a very good YouTube channel from Sweden that talks about this, about the Wallenbergs investor, the deep state. Ericsson, that's an important company to keep an eye on, the telecommunications company. So it's called the Free People's Movement, yeah, highly recommend it. So a little bit of intrigue here today, something different. And with that, let's quickly look at where the markets are then. It's 8:37 a.m. London time. We've had some, I would say, important news for the UK economy. Vodafone, probably the biggest mobile or telecoms group in the UK, they've just sacked 11,000 people, which is about 10% of their workforce. That doesn't bode well if they're cutting 10% of their workforce. Yes, it could be to do with their internal business, but I think it's a bad sign for the economy. Just wanted to let you know that. This has come out this morning. So we've got spot gold at 2008. It's down $8. The low's been 02 and the high has been 18. Silver's still having a tough time here. I think we're retesting that trend line from which we broke out of, and I spoke about it last week. I think it was around 23.50 last week. Right now, the low overnight in silver is 23.68. Silver is down another 1%. It's down 28 cents at 23.80 right now. The Dow future is down 40 points. The NASDAQ 100 future is up 9. S&P is down 3. So the stock market is pretty steady here. The currencies, the pound is down a 1/4%, around 125. The euro is up slightly at 108.86. The dollar is down 0.2 versus the yen at 135.85. Dollar is up a 1/4% versus the yuan, 697.50. Let's check the ruble. Dollar is down slightly at 79.70 versus the ruble. To the other currencies, Aussie dollar is down a 1/4%, 66.85. Dollar is unchanged versus the Canadian dollar, and the Kiwi dollar is up slightly at 62.50. To the commodities, we got WTI crude up a 1/3% at 71.28. I think the U.S. announced yesterday they're going to buy back some of the, I think 3 million barrels of oil. They've sold over 200 million in the last year or so. They have still a lot to buy back to replenish the reserves. Brent crude is up a 1/3 as well at 75.35. Platinum is down about $1 at 1,065. And high-grade copper is down 1% at 371.50. Let's quickly look at the bond market. The 2-year yield is just below 4%. The 1 month is up actually 23 basis points. We're approaching 6% at 5.84, and the 10-year is at 3.47. Of course, the 1 month, sorry, is all related to this debt ceiling impasse. I think the Treasury said that they've only got to the 1st of June. And I think President Biden will talk, I think, to Kevin McCarthy this week. But then he's going away for almost a whole week, which seems like not the right thing to do when you have a problem like this. But we'll see what happens anyway. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.